All right, thanks everyone, and thanks for taking your time to join. My name is Akin Oladeji, and I'm the founder of Learn with Pride. And at Learn with Pride, what we do is to help people that wants to transition from either non-IT or non-technical job to IT space. So when it comes to please, can we mute our mic if you are not talking, please? I would really appreciate that. Thanks, everyone. Later on, we're still going to have time to ask questions. So if you have any question, just wait till the end of the session, or you can start to type your questions in the chat box. So as I said, my name is Akin Oladeji, and I'm the founder of Learn with Pride. And what we do at Learn with Pride is to help people that wants to transition from non-IT to IT space. So we focus on most IT related jobs, from project management to business analysis to data analytics, software automation testing, cybersecurity, DevOps engineer, Scrum Master, and product owner. Those are the key areas that we specialize in. And when it comes to training, we just don't only train for the sake of training. We understand what it takes to take you from point A to point B, meaning to take you from knowing nothing to the point that you'll be comfortable and you can compete with people that has been doing it in the industry for 2-3 years. When it comes to IT roles, it's only in IT that you don't need to go back to uni for another 4 years or 3 years to go and study how to become a business analyst or product owner or DevOps engineer because of courses like this. And we don't only provide just the theoretical training, no. We focus on hands-on practical trainings and also expose you to project as well. So when we talk about hands-on practical training, you'll be exposed to different industry standard tools, that when you start applying for jobs, you can boldly say that you've used them before. So that is what we specialize in. So it's not only about the money, the fee that you pay for the training for us, because we believe that your success is also our success. So that is why when you come on the journey with us, it's not only the practical training or project that we offer. We help you with the CV review, interview preparation, mentorship, and support, because we believe at the end of the day, if you are able to secure a role, someone somewhere will ask you, how did you do it? And you can refer us to the person. So we dwell more on referrals. We dwell more on quality service. We let our service speak for us. And surely, if you enjoy it, you surely refer someone else. So today we'll be looking at DevOps for those that want to transition into that space. Because since after COVID, if you're looking for a remote job, it doesn't matter where you live, whether you live in Nigeria, you live in Canada, you live in Ghana, you live in UK, it doesn't matter your location. When you have the experience, the knowledge, the know-how, you can get remote job anywhere. But the first thing foremost is for you to acquire the knowledge, because it's from the experience that you can start sending your CV out and backing what you know up. These days, it's not about certifications. It is good to have certifications, but getting job goes beyond certification now. You need that hands-on experience. You need that practicality. You need to get your hands dirty, and that is what you're going to get on the journey if you eventually enroll with us. So quickly, before I call on the facilitator that will be taking you on the 4 months journey, if you are to come on board with us, I have a small slide that I want to quickly go through, just to there's nothing big deal in there, just to go through what to expect if you land a role as a DevOps engineer. The average salary of a DevOps engineer in the UK is around 65,000. Also, for those, as I said, you can get job. It doesn't matter where you live. You can get job remotely, and it's in high demand at the moment. But for those who wants to probably travel out of the country as well, it's one of the shortage of skilled worker in the UK as well, meaning if you happen to get a company who is willing to sponsor you, they can actually do that, and you can relocate with it as well. But even if you remove that from the picture, only the knowledge as well can make you to be competitive in the market. You can be in Nigeria and be working for a company in Canada. You can be in Ghana and be working for a company in Australia. You can be in UK and be working for a company in the US. So it doesn't matter. The most important is to acquire the knowledge, is to acquire the experience. So this is the salary you'll be open to, if you want to go this line eventually. So that is the average salary. You can check that out as well. As I said, you can work remotely any part of the world that you are as well. And DevOps, out of all the IT related jobs out there, DevOps tend to be the most high in demand out of all of them. It's really, really high. It's really in demand. So meaning there's lots of jobs out there to grab. So what's the training like? What's the roadmap like when you embark on this journey with us? As I said, you go through a 4 month practical training. That'll be twice a week, as the case may be, for 4 months. And in that 4 months, we want to cover as much as possible, that after the 4 months, you'll be able to stand on your 2 feet and you'll be able to compete with those who has been doing it in the industry for 2-3 years. As I said earlier on, it's not only about the training with us. We just don't leave you high and dry after the training. No, we still support you with the interview preparation, the mentorship as well, which is key, and the support, because the most important when it comes to transition is the support. If you don't get the support, many people, you might struggle along the way, and if you don't get the support, you might just say, you know what, I can't do this anymore, let me just go back to my daily jobs, because I'm not getting the support. But we don't do that. We support you all the way. So the training is for 4 months. Aside the training as well, you undergo project as well as you go on. And when number one and number two is done, you've acquired the practical training, you've undergone the what's it called, the project, you've done the project as well. The next key thing for you now to do is to optimize your brand, because it is one thing for you to have gone through the training, done the practicals, the project, you have the knowledge now. But if you are not visible in the market, nobody will see you. Nobody will call you. No agency will reach out to you, despite the fact that you know what you are doing now. So this is very, very important as well. You need to optimize your brand. Your CV has to be top notch. We help with CV review, but we don't help to revamp CV. We don't create CV from scratch. But if you have one CV, if you have your CV ready, you can send it to us for review. If there are key points, key things that needs to be on your CV, we review it. If it has to be amended, we tell you to amend it and give you pointers on the direction to go. Also, your LinkedIn as well. Your LinkedIn, if you are not on LinkedIn, you have to be on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn has become a marketplace for professionals now, for recruiters to go to and look for professionals, because they believe only professionals are on LinkedIn. So again, your LinkedIn, you need to optimize your LinkedIn. But it's not a problem if you don't have LinkedIn, or you don't know how to go about it, or you don't have CV. We still partner with someone who can help you, a company who can help you to do both at a discounted rate. But we get there. If you need help regarding that, we look at that later on. So we're talking about optimization of brand and all of that, CV and LinkedIn, which is very important. The next thing will be, so when the training is done, the practical is done, the project is done, you've done your CV, you optimize your LinkedIn page as well. All these things are ready. Then you are ready to start applying for jobs. So you are ready to start putting your CVs on all the job sites. And it's not only about putting your CVs on all the job sites, you have to make your CV searchable as well. So that when recruiters go on those job sites, they can see your CV and they can reach out to you. Also your LinkedIn as well. And when you start getting these interviews, When you start applying for jobs, then come the interview stage. As I said as well, we help you with the interview preparation as well. We just don't leave you high and dry, because we believe at the end of the day, if you are able to secure that role, it's a plus for us as well. And that is what we want. So it goes beyond the subscription or the enrollment or paying for the course for us. We want to ensure that a good number of our students get jobs, secure that role, because that is the only way we can grow as well as a company. Because as I said earlier on, your success is also our success. So we help with the interview preparation so that you can ace the interview at a go. Then this is just a sample job as a DevOps engineer. This is a contract role paying 650 to 700 pounds per day. 650, let's just say average of 600 per day. That is you getting like 12,000 pounds per month. You can do the calculation per year. This is what you can be exposed to. But before you can say you want to apply for this kind of a role, you must have acquired the knowledge. You must have acquired, the know-how. You must have gotten your hands dirty to be able to do certain things so that you can convince the interviewer that, yes, you can do it. That is where we want to get you. For you to be able to get this kind of roles. This is another role. This is a permanent role. This is paying up to 80,000 per annum. That is a lot of money. That is a whole lot of money. I can tell you that. But it's a whole lot of money doesn't mean after 4 months, you can't apply for this kind of a role. I'm a testament to you as well, because I transitioned as well. I came from an accounting background, right? And I transitioned into not only IT, but the technical IT. I'm into software automation engineer. I write codes now. This is someone coming from an accounting background. All I knew before was debit and credit. But now I'm writing codes in like C# programming language and all of that. So if I'm able to do that, anybody, it doesn't matter your background. What is important is the determination for that change, because we are going to start from the scratch from you, for you, and grow from there, So anybody from whatever the background, if you really are hungry for the change, you can do it. So it's not only for people who studied science in school or did, that are qualified for this kind of a role. No, anybody with determination, whether you studied language in school or you studied social science or whatever that is not related to this line, but because this is the next big thing out there now, and you want to transition into tech as well, and you don't know how to go about it, we are the solution that you need, because we are going to hold you hand by hand, walk the walk with you through the process. And I can assure you, if I can transition after I undergone 3 months of similar training back then as well, I can assure you that going through this 4 months process, you'll be in a better position than I was back then, because you have the support now. When I was doing my own transition, there was nothing like support. I had to do most of the work myself. But with this one, you have the support, you have the people that you can go to for clarity, to ask questions, you have it all. And that is what we provide. I'm going to take all questions. So if you can raise your hand, that's fine. After the session, at the end of the session, I'm going to take all the questions. So that's fine. If you want to raise your hand, you can raise your hand. That's fine. All right. So, and lastly, is from the comms that you've received. I'm sure you must have seen how much it costs there. We try to be competitive. If you're going for this kind of program out there, we all know how much it costs. But because I want to make it as much as affordable as possible for people, it's $7.99. But if you're enrolling, I think the deadline for this discount today is Saturday. I think Wednesday next week. If you are enrolling on or before Wednesday next week, you have 20% discount. And even from this amount, it's not everything that is due now. It's only half that is due to start the process, and the other half can be paid in the next 2 months. You can clear the other amount, the other half, in the next 2 months. So we try to make it as affordable and make the payments as easy for people as much as possible as well. For enrollment, if you want to screenshot or copy this number down, you can send a WhatsApp message to this number to enroll. And later on as well, we'll be dropping a WhatsApp group if you want to join the WhatsApp group as well. But we'll come back to this later on in the session if you have any question regarding the payment or the enrollment. But now I'm going to call on the facilitator who has got many years of experience and who I believe can take you from point A to point B when it comes to the DevOps journey. Because of his number of years working in this industry, he understands everything that you need to get you from point A to point B, whereby you can start applying for jobs and at the end of the day, get yourself a role as a DevOps engineer. So I'm going to call on Michael to talk more to us about what even DevOps is all about, the advantage, the benefits that you're going to get on the course if you enroll, and probably to talk about the tools that you'll be using while on the journey as well. So I'm going to hand it over to you. I'm going to stop sharing and hand it back to you, Michael. So Michael, over to you. Thanks.
All right. Actually, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. In fact, I'm wondering what else I have to say, because you more or less covered much of what I prepared or what I had in mind to share with the audience. But beautiful enough. So quickly, I understand we're also constrained for time, but as much as possible, we're going to run through the basics as far as what DevOps is, why you really should be considering DevOps as a field to transition into, and what are the requisites. Also, we're also going to be looking at tools, specific tools you will be handling or you will have to master as a DevOps engineer. Let's not forget, quickly, there's something Aki also mentioned earlier on, which I want to also hold on to. As much as possible, we need to understand that DevOps is a journey. DevOps is a journey. It is not a destination. It is a journey. Because after the 4 months, even if we're getting an extra month for boot camp means we have probably like 2 weeks to a month to put our house in order, social media presence, update on our backlog of materials to cover up on the projects yet to be submitted, within that 4-week period. It also means that you're not done. What you'll be acquiring will be basic market knowledge, which means you will have an idea of high-level conversation as far as DevOps is concerned. Having an idea of the high-level conversation means if you're confronted with any subject matter or any topic within the DevOps space, you can conveniently hold your thoughts. This is what interviewers, this is what recruiters are looking for. As much as possible, they are also looking at protecting their reputation. So as much as possible, they want to bring people that they are certain are confident about their knowledge and proficiency with the DevOps skill is concerned. So as far as getting the high-level conversation right, we are going to make sure within the 4 or 5 month period, we achieve that, basically. So I will take time to introduce myself again. My name is Michael. Aitanu Michael. I'm a DevOps engineer. 6 to 8 years running. I did not exactly start as a DevOps engineer. As of 2014, I was a system cloud support. That was my first introduction or exposure to DevOps. But it was the beginning of my journey. I transitioned from being a system cloud support engineer to being a build and release engineer within the space of 3 years. A build and release engineer, which means I have mastered considerable amount of tools within the DevOps space to be actually able to call myself a DevOps engineer also. So I've been in it for 6 to 8 years running. But interestingly also, my background in ICT is about 18 years spanning. I've been a systems administrator, a network engineer / administrator for over 18 years. But trust me, as far as DevOps is concerned, don't let that intimidate you. As far as DevOps is concerned, yes, it is most suitable for guys that are already into ICT. You're a programmer, you are an IT manager, you are a quality assurance person. Yes, looking at expanding your options within the ICT. But it doesn't change the fact that even as a complete novice, like coming from accounting into the tech space, like coming from maybe data analysis, or coming from maybe even agriculture into the tech space, you want to expand your options. Yes, DevOps globally is one of the most highest in demand. It's one of the highest in demand roles in the market presently, and the pay, just like my principal has already mentioned, is like we mentioned it within the DevOps space. We call it blood money. We call it blood money. And I can tell you for free also that since I became a DevOps engineer, I've been working for years within the IT space. I've had my profile on social media for a while. But trust me, on a daily, weekly basis, I have not gotten the kind of attention, the kind of follow-up I have had on my profile before I got to become a DevOps engineer. Every other week, there is one recruiter or one organization or one HR person trying to find out, hey, do you think you want to take on this role? Do you really want to take on that role? And once they understand that you understand this once they get to know that you really understand this conversation well, the next thing they want to quickly put you through is a technical test. So beyond just having knowledge of the high-level conversation, it is also important, which is one thing we're going to focus on for the next 4 to 5 months, making sure you have the technical hands-on. You have the technical hands-on, which is why the beauty of the course we're providing also makes sure that you are going to be engaging practical labs. For every module that we engage, you will have to do practical labs, possibly submit an assignment before we move to the next module. So like I said, let me quickly share this screen. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, but like I said, my name is Michael, Aitanu Michael, 18 years plus of tech experience, and practically 7 years plus as a DevOps engineer. So quickly, without taking any much of our time, because I understand we're still going to be asking a lot of questions, I also believe that this session is being recorded for those of us that might want to refer to it, later on. But quickly, what is DevOps? What is DevOps? It's what you might really want to ask. What is DevOps? As much as possible, it is essential you know what you're getting yourself into, and there shouldn't be any confusion to it. So the first thing you really want to know is, what is DevOps? You really want to put yourself in that space where you're sure you even understand what DevOps is. I also want to believe that there are a lot of us that are very vast in project management. So let's start with that. You know, project management. DevOps is not, it's not so different from project management. In fact, DevOps is an evolution of DevOps, of project management. The only difference is that it is not from the conventional project management. You understand? I am also privileged to be a certified project management professional, but I can tell you for free also that my field of project management is the traditional, the conventional waterfall project management approach to product release and project management, so to say. You understand? And because we all know the challenges that come with the traditional waterfall project management approach to product releases, traditional, or you can call it waterfall approach to project management. This approach to project management is time consuming. It's time consuming. It means you will need weeks, you will need months into collecting project requirements, analyzing risks, analyzing stakeholder concerns and all that before you even start the project, before you start looking at what might even be wrong with your process of implementation. So, but as far as the software development industry is concerned, there was the need to adopt an approach that made it faster, where you can conceptualize an idea and within the space of weeks, 1-2 months, your product is out. The conventional approach to project management does not allow for that. For those of us that are very conversant with project management, it doesn't allow for that. That time alone is not even sufficient for planning and collecting requirements. So what now became was within the early 2000s, within the early 2000s, there was the need for a methodology that allows for quick release of software within the market space. That was when there was the introduction to agile methodology. So according to this, now it's easy for us to say, okay, DevOps is an approach to software development that enables teams to build, test, release software faster and more reliably by incorporating agile principles. Agile means you are cutting short the redundancies that come with. Agile simply means you're cutting short redundancy, delays, and backlogs that come with conventional project management approaches to software development. That is what Agile does. It fast tracks software development such that ordinarily something that should take you months, 3, 4, 6, can be achieved within 4 to 6 weeks. Just like also, we know that there are iterations. What we call iterations is what we call something like a loop, a continuous flow back and forth within a project cycle. Iterations are also attainable within the Agile methodology. But in this case, the iterations are faster. We call them quick iterations. That is why Agile, as far as Agile itself is concerned, Agile is an aggregation of many other processes. We'll get to that in a bit. Yes, development, testing, they occur in such a way that both Agile and DevOps, testing and development occur in both Agile and DevOps. But there is the lag there is this. As far as Agile is concerned, what Agile does is it quickly deploys. Well, I'm going to quickly tell you how DevOps came into being. Agile manages the process to deployment. The product is in the market. But another gap was noticeable within the Agile framework, which is that from the moment programmers write code and the codes are built and deployed within the market space, there is also the need that, okay, the guys that are really operating this product, that are operating this software, there are constant feedbacks. And much of the time, these guys don't understand the language that programmers talk. They don't understand the vocabulary within the actual software development lifecycle itself. They can't relate to programmers. They don't understand what backlogs are. So that was a vacuum that needed to be filled, which was one of the reasons why DevOps also came in place. So DevOps is a methodology that acts as an interface between development and operation within the software development lifecycle. And because it has been noticeable over time that from even the moment software development takes place and it is released into the market, there is always the need for constant feedback, which means there are need for constant updates. There are need for constant reviews, of which even these updates and reviews should not even affect the functionality of these products within the market space. And it requires that they should be carried out in such a way that it does not affect return on investment or profit for the product owner. This is where you as a DevOps, you come into the space. You are supposed to manage and lead automation as a DevOps engineer. It means you are going to master several tools. As a matter of fact, we are looking at a minimum of 18 to 20 different tools that allows you to manage the entire process of automation. A lot of what you're going to be doing is going to take away the manual processes from the entire software development lifecycle. Even the reports and the queries you're going to be getting to work on are not going to be such that is manual. Even your initiating certain actions within your pipeline are not going to be manual. Everything is going to be automated. So as a DevOps, you really need to understand that. What the DevOps does is that you will focus on better collaboration within the development team and the operation team, like we already mentioned. And what you're also going to be doing is that you will oversee the entire software development lifecycle. You are instrumental to handling code releases, implementation of CI/CD pipeline. We will be going into this in detail. Continuous integration, continuous delivery. There's also the concept of continuous deployment. That means into the market. You understand? So, sorry, I might be moving at quite a fast pace, but as much as possible, I will share some of my notes with Aki, such that for those of us that are interested, but I also believe that the video will suffice. But for those of us that are going to be interested, we can have access to the notes as I am working with. But the processes we're talking about are such that they are solving real life market demand, just like your banking mobile app, for instance. You have an issue, you are contacting customer support. Customer support is logging the issue you have with your particular banking app, and you're noticing that automatically updates are provided, even without you having to download those updates. Overnight, you sleep, you wake up, and voila, the problem you have with your application is taken care of. Or you wake up one morning, you had a Taxify on your mobile app. The next morning it has become Bolt. You are, as a DevOps, what you are doing, what programmers do is they build code. What operations people do, they manage the entire process. They manage your complaints. They manage your query. But there's somebody in between that is actually managing the entire pipeline from the moment code is deployed. And trust me, you're going to be learning platforms like Linux, how to work within command line interfaces. You're going to learn Linux. Linux is a very virtual environment for those of us that understand our Windows or PowerShell environments very well. For the purpose of this course, we're going to be focusing on Linux. So you're going to be focusing on tools that make your work easy. Don't get it wrong. If you're being paid as much as $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 per month, that amounts to an average of probably $65,000, $70,000 or euros or pounds in a month, you are not being paid just because you know how to use a Windows interface. It simply means, as far as the employer is concerned, you can manage automation. You can go beyond your regular graphical user interface. Those are the things you are going to understand as a DevOps engineer. Those are the values you are bringing on the team. Like he mentioned also, even on LinkedIn presently, DevOps is ranking the highest and most in-demand field, the most in-demand role within the tech space presently. Yes, Scrum Masters are getting it. Yes, data analysts are getting it. Even software programmers and developers, they're getting it. But so far, I can tell you for free, every day, my emails, they keep getting bombarded. Just like when you're into such field, you really need to respect yourself so that you don't take more than you can actually handle. You understand? But we get to thank God for privileges like this. I've always believed that one of the only other ways you can really advance yourself is pouring into others. So one of the things we're going to be enjoying also is, as far as this journey is concerned, we're going to be incorporating a lot of you into an already existing community of DevOps engineers. I've had the privilege of mentoring a couple of guys within the industry also, that you are coming on board such a community. So from the moment we kickstart, you are becoming part of a community of DevOps engineers where whatever your issues are, whether they are within our present learning platform or they are within the existing market spaces that you're going to be getting into, trust me, there will be a solution for whatever query or concerns you might have. The only thing I would want to advise is that please don't try to put yourself in the market until you have a firm understanding of the high level conversations as far as most of these tools are concerned. We're going to be going over a lot of tools. I will show you a graphical illustration of this shortly. But there's an extent I would personally want to advise that you get to before you start putting yourself in the market. You understand? So if we say, okay, why DevOps? We already have an idea of why it should be DevOps for you. We can't overemphasize why you should go into DevOps. I know a lot of us have preferences. Yes, I have a deep background in Scrum. I have also a deep background in project management. But DevOps also, you really want to prioritize and say, I think this should be it for me, before we now start thinking of specializing in other areas. So what are the learning outcomes we're going to be deriving from this course also? If I really want to go into that, I would want to say, as far as DevOps is concerned, DevOps provides you with leadership. That is the first thing I want to say. DevOps provides you with leadership proficiency. Because one of the key things you're going to be grappled with, or you're going to be grappling with, is the fact that even your employer, even your recruiter wants to know how well within the DevOps space you can manage teams, because you are the one coming in between development and operation. Don't forget that is your number one most fundamental task as a DevOps engineer. You're coming between development and operation. DevOps puts you in the position where you naturally build leadership proficiency. So to develop key skills necessary to become a DevOps expert, you will master tools such as configuration management, proficiencies in one, configuration management. I'm going to round up very quickly as fast as possible so that we can go into the questions. Configuration management, continuous integration, integration, we're going to be going into like continuous deployment. Okay, 3. Delivery. Deployment, continuous monitoring, cloud engineering, we need to understand that one of the key roles we're going to assume as DevOps engineers is also the fact that we're going to be cloud engineers. We are going to gain mastery of cloud computing. We're not going to be deploying on physical servers. We're not going to be deploying on physical machines. Yes, we're going to be connecting remotely via our physical computers, but modern day market applications and products don't run on physical servers. Such are only done for the purpose of redundancy, backup. But for accessibility, for availability, 90% of your work is going to be cloud-based. So you're going to be a cloud engineer. You're going to be a cloud engineer. You're going to master tools like Puppet. You're going to master tools like Puppet. I'll show you that. So I thought that I don't type too much. I'm going to show you a graphical representation of most of these tools. We're going to master Terraform. We're going to master, in fact, let me share another screen that introduces us to some of these tools. Okay. Sorry about that. Do you have any difficulties following me, please? So quickly, I want to introduce this screen for the purpose of continuing our conversation. I will share any other screen that I think will be useful as we progress. Are we on the same page, please?
Yes.
Yes, I think we are on the same page, yeah.
Okay. So basically, one other thing I want us to quickly take note of is the fact that as far as this course is concerned, we're going to be accumulating a lot of materials. We're going to be accumulating a lot of materials. It means if we're looking at everything within this is a simple software development life cycle process. We understand. If we look at it from the way it goes directionally, what we're seeing is a continuous loop from planning to code to building to testing to release to deploy to operating to monitoring, and then based on feedback we go back to planning again, we go back to coding, building, testing again, whatever has been built, release it. It is a continuous, never-ending loop. As far as hey, I think I have a problem, but it's almost 1,000,001 user applications. Even you have to go back to loaded 1,000,001 apps, depending on whatever purpose you are using them for. But at the back end, this is the process that governs the proper functioning of those applications as far as meeting your own specific needs are concerned. Initially, it starts from planning to coding. From coding, a build is done. From build, a test is done. It is released and deployed. From after deployment, it is being operated, and during operation and monitoring, when there are feedbacks that require going back to the drawing board again, fixing bugs, creating a new release, planning occurs again, and we go back to the beginning again. That is simply how it works. The only thing you're seeing here are the tools you are going to be engaging during the entire cycle. These are the tools you are going to be learning for the next 4 months, minimum. From Linux, which is your command line interface environment, you're going to be learning source code management using Git. Git is the most globally accepted source code management platform right now. And it works with a distributed control system, version control system that we call GitHub. There are options for GitHub. Some people are
the network is bad, or is it only for me?
Can you guys hear me?
The funniest thing is I can't even see him on the chat and he's making that noise, so I can't even stop it. I think it's okay now.
Coming from an individual, I believe.
Yeah, you can
Okay,
go on.
let's see how we can manage that and progress, please.
All right.
As far as all that is concerned, we're going to be looking at least 120 hours. At least 100 to 120 hours of live videos within this period. We understand that Then also, we're going to be looking at almost 70 hours of real life case study, real life scenarios. We're not going to be deploying, we're not just going to be talking and not engaging you with live deployment. In fact, like Akin mentioned earlier, one of the things we want to do is such that even after this training, you can actually go out and boast that you have at least 3 years experience. Because one of the things we're going to be doing is making sure that you are developing live applications, even where some of them are going to be dummy applications, but it is not different from the real life scenarios you're going to be engaging in your workplaces. When you do get the opportunity to join teams, they are not going to be different. So we're looking at a minimum of 70 hours of these real life scenarios, case scenarios for your labs. So at the end of each module also, between Linux to GitHub for this purpose, we're not going to be engaging GitLab. We're going to be focusing on GitHub. Then as far as deployment is concerned, we're going to be doing Terraform and Ansible. There are other options in the market for infrastructure as code. We need to understand that. We'll go into that in detail also. Infrastructure as code, talking about configuration management. It is an automated way of deploying infrastructure. I don't need to go into AWS to manually set up servers. I don't need to go into AWS to manually update my server or change the configuration of my servers or change my cluster if I'm working. No, there are codes you write, codes that are reusable, codes that are adaptable, that you write and put within your pipeline such that at any point in time, even if you are not there, if this is what you say you want within your infrastructure, that is what it is going to give you. You don't need to manually go into any of your cloud platforms to even be setting up servers. Yes, we're going to learn how to set up servers. We're going to learn how to set up securities, firewalls within these servers. But trust me, a lot of these processes, apart from being done manual, tools like Terraform, tools like Ansible, which are configuration management tools, infrastructure as code tools, they make automating these processes very easy. Very easy. Then also, one other thing we're going to be learning also is the fact that, okay, apart from the fact that we're going to be building with Maven, we're going to be deploying into, we're going to learn how to deploy into virtual servers, into virtual machines. We're going to learn that. It also means, so it also goes to say that, yes, if you can deploy on a virtual machine, a live application, you can actually convince somebody that, okay, I've been deploying applications for a long time. But the modern day market, as far as we're concerned, works with containers and container orchestration. Works with containers and container orchestration. It means it is an automated way of deploying live applications and providing scalability. It is an automated way of deploying live applications and also providing scalability such that it can meet amount of traffic per time. If you're looking at 1 million users per time, if you're looking at 10 million users per time, containers and being able to orchestrate containers allows you to conveniently do that, which is one of the advantages you're going to have aside being able to deploy on virtual machines. We're going to learn how to set up virtual machines on our AWS platform. We're going to learn AWS. For the purpose of this study, we're going to be focusing on Amazon Web Services. There are other platforms like GCP, that's Google Cloud Platform. There is Azure, that's Microsoft Azure for cloud. But we are not going to be focusing on all that. Just the same way I can tell you that apart from mastering configuration management tools like Terraform and Ansible, there are other tools like Chef. There are other tools like Puppet. But the most important thing is that most of these platforms, they actually provide the same solution. They provide the same solution. They do the same thing. In fact, some are even more flexible than the others based on individual preferences. For the purpose of this course, like I said earlier, for the purpose of configuration management and infrastructure as code, we're going to be emphasizing on Terraform and Ansible, and also we're going to tell you why these two are even more should even be more preferred than the other two we talked about. The same thing, we're going to be introducing you to containers, which is where Docker comes in, outside the virtual machine. But it is one thing to deploy your applications in containers. It is another thing to be able to manipulate the containers to scale for large traffic. It is another thing to be able to manipulate these containers to scale for large traffic and also provide security. That is where Kubernetes as a container orchestration platform comes into play. In fact, most people that go into DevOps, by the time they get to Kubernetes, they start making crazy money. Yes, you have the option of stopping as a build and release engineer. You have the option of stopping as a build and release engineer here, such that once you master Jenkins, you are able to build raw code into a deployable artifact after testing. We're going to go into all those details. Don't let it bug you. Don't let it bug you. But the most important thing is that as a DevOps, once planning has been carried out, developers commit codes to your GitHub platform. You use tools like Maven and Gradle to create a build. Raw code cannot run within virtual servers. Raw code cannot run on virtual servers. They have to be built into deployable packages. That is where tools like Apache Maven and Gradle come in. People that are very familiar with software testing, they know tools like JUnit and Selenium. These are used to test after building have been done, to test code quality. We're going to be highlighting a lot of this and how useful it is within the development lifecycle. Then from the moment testing is done, Jenkins does a final build and release, also using Maven as a tool. Jenkins is a tool that uses Maven for its build. So apart from learning how to use Maven to build and release on virtual machines, we're also going to use Jenkins as a tool, integrating it with Maven, such that we can do build and release. When you get to this point, there's a role within the industry that is called build and release engineer. In fact, I worked for a few years as a build and release engineer before I became a full-blown DevOps engineer. It means with this also, you can be in the industry and be earning good money, still within the range we have talked about. But it is only advisable you don't go out there as a half-baked DevOps engineer. So we always encourage you, go to the point of beyond delivery, go to deployment. Deployment is where you start to use configuration management tools. You start to use infrastructure as code tools to work within containers and container orchestration environments like we talked about. We are going to go into all this in detail. In fact, from the moment we start with Linux, we are going to start going into AWS. We are going to start setting up virtual machines. You are going to start learning how to use your command line interfaces. So once we have mastery of from Docker within the AWS environment, one other thing we're going to start focusing again is monitoring. We know that from the moment code is built and released and it is deployed into production and operation starts to manage it, there will always be need for feedback. And these feedback are always as a result of monitoring activity. They are always as a result of monitoring activity. So as a DevOps, you are going to learn how to use specific tools. You're going to learn how to use specific monitoring tools. New Relic New Relic is a monitoring tool. In this case, New Relic is even web-based. New Relic is a third-party website that allows you to integrate any online application or web server into it such that you can practically monitor your application. It also allows for ticketing. It allows for emailing such that if there are any real-life issues or possibility of vulnerabilities within your software application as it is running live, you are getting real-life updates, even real-life mail, such that even when you are sleeping, as a DevOps, you are being intimated, you are being updated, and using your available or agreed communication channel. From the moment you start learning how to deploy using Kubernetes,
Can you please mute everybody?
yeah, if we can mute everybody, I think that's also a good idea. So we're running out of time very fast. We can accommodate that concern. So to avoid most of those hiccups and noises we're hearing on the background, if admin, you can help us mute everybody, I think that should be appreciated. So Prometheus and Grafana, we're going to go in depth into it for monitoring. These platforms, these tools also provide real life feedback interfaces via email, and they also allow for data analysis. They also allow for vulnerability checks within your running application, which is why much of the work you are going to do as a DevOps, leading to even the point of monitoring, is really going to be setting up your pipeline such that it works. That is really most of the work. But once you have this deployed and it is running, you can actually go to sleep. But 90% of your work is actually going to be setting up your pipeline before you can even think of resting. But you cannot play with the essence of monitoring. That is where you now have SRE, site reliability engineers. This is a very, very important role within the DevOps industry, within the DevOps space. And people are paid crazy money to be site reliability engineers also. So you need to understand that, and it all has to do with your ability to not just know how to deploy using the platforms we have discussed earlier, but also being able to monitor, because that is one challenge that most organizations have. Apart from the fact that a lot of organizations are going tech, they are going virtual, like they are deploying products online. One major is threats, vulnerabilities don't tell you they are coming. They don't tell you they are going to happen tomorrow. So proactive monitoring is an essential part of the DevOps process, which is why these tools are very important, and which is why roles such as SREs are also very important. People are paid just to be SREs within the DevOps space. You need to understand that. You need to understand the role you play as an SRE within the space, and know that it is also a viable, space to stay in as far as being a DevOps engineer is concerned. We already talked about who should go in for this course. We know that, okay, aside from it being suitable for those that are looking for a career change and all that, of which we also mentioned that you must not really have a deep background in tech, provided you can commit yourself within the space we're talking about. Trust me, there's a lot you're going to learn. There's a lot we're going to have support provided for you to learn also along the way. So don't be scared. The way I also learned it was that I think alongside a lot of people that had no experience, even with some of the testimonies we got from the platform, some of us practically practiced on or learned from, were people that did not have, in fact, people that had zero experience with tech. You understand? But also, if you are an IT team leader, you are a software developer, a programmer, and you're a system administrator, but in terms of background, like some of us, or you're already even a cloud engineer, you already have maybe you're a cloud support engineer, but you really want to go into DevOps, understanding what DevOps does now, going the extra mile, interfacing between development and operation. You want to take that leadership role as a DevOps person. Why not? You can jump into it. Trust me, it's a journey that you will love. It brings you out. That's one thing DevOps does. We try to talk about it earlier, and you can't overemphasize it. The role is in constant high demand. It is in constant high demand. So if you're still wondering whether it is what you should go into, why not? Please jump into it. DevOps is the next thing you should be considering. You understand? So note also, conveniently, DevOps, like I mentioned earlier, it takes an iterative approach, just like Agile. DevOps itself is a methodology. We need to understand that. We talked about it earlier. DevOps itself is a methodology that evolved from the Agile methodology of project management. Why? Like we said earlier also, because industry experts noticed at some point that Agile only stopped at the point where code was deployed. Issues between operations experts and developers became a big challenge. And because there was a friction in communication, most people that are into operations are lay people. They are not techies. They don't understand the language. They don't understand the conversation. They don't understand. So there was that need for people that understood it and can even take charge of the entire process of collecting feedback, handing it back to developers, while also managing the changes as carried out by the developers to the point where these changes are deployed back into production for operations people to carry out or continue their activities as if nothing happened or as if nothing has happened. This role became very important. It became very important. So within the mid 2005, DevOps became like a hot cake. DevOps became like a hot cake. But let's also forget that Agile itself, it is not a single methodology. Agile is an aggregation of several methodologies. That is where you have Scrum, you have extreme programming, and a couple of other practices within the Agile framework. Let's not forget that is how Agile works. We're not going to go into what Agile is and what Agile is not. But DevOps also is an evolution of the same Agile process, which is one of the reasons why Agile and Scrum, as an Agile process, you find out that there's an easy marriage between DevOps and Agile, which is why as a DevOps person, much of the time you're going to find yourself working in Scrum teams. You're going to find yourself working in Scrum teams where much of what you're going to be doing is you'll find yourself with a Scrum Master. You're going to find yourself working along with other developers, programmers, a quality assurance guy, a testing guy, maybe even the product owner. Most of the time, I know we have a lot of Scrum experts amongst us also. That is what you're going to constantly be doing. You're going to be there doing daily Scrum. You're going to be doing weekly sprint reviews, such that you're going to be doing weekly product increments. Just like we said, the iterative approach that Agile provides, which is the same thing that Scrum also adopts, which is the same thing you also see in DevOps, is such that instead of managing the entire project as one lump sum, as the conventional project management approach does, DevOps breaks it into iteration. You can call them, according to Scrum, weekly sprints. You understand? Although ideally within the Scrum framework, we know that each sprint is not less than 2 weeks. But after every 2 weeks, the sprint must deliver a product increment. Instead of waiting and planning for months before we even are sure of our requirements, before we're even sure of the risks that are involved in the project, before we're even sure of the stakeholders, implication, and all that. It's too cumbersome. And in fact, most of the activities or variables that are attainable within the conventional or waterfall project management approaches are not even applicable to software development. So it becomes too cumbersome. So we really need to understand why methodologies like DevOps become essential, especially for project software project management. We really need to understand it. Take for instance a brand like maybe Zenith Bank approaches you now and say, "Hey, we're having issues with our online payment platform, and we want to make some quick changes." And you don't have time to be saying we don't especially where they have their own in-house product owners. What those people even do is that they have already collected every feature, every requirement they want to have running on these new products before they come to you. So you can't be telling them we're talking of risk, we're thinking of cost, we're thinking of stakeholder. No. The first thing you want to do is, okay, in order of priority, which of your concerns do we even quickly bring in? We can look at, okay, maybe 3 or 4 iterations of each one being maybe 2 weeks. That means we should be able to finish the entire project within maybe 8 weeks. That means after every 2 weeks, we must have a product increment such that after the 4 iterations, we must have a complete product. No, considering all the features we're bringing in after every sprint. That is how it works. It only allows for faster and quicker deployment of products within markets, particularly for software solutions. That is what DevOps does, especially when it is adopted within the Scrum framework. But we also now need to understand that the value that DevOps brings into the development lifecycle is such that it takes leadership. We mustn't miss that point, such that you are constantly managing between developers, the programmers, and operations personnel, which also means that as a DevOps person, you don't necessarily need to know how to code. Yes, it will be essential that you understand how code works. It will be essential that you probably need to understand how code is written, such that most of the time you can what's it called now? You can troubleshoot. You can do hot fixes. We call them hot fixes within your build environment. If your build is returning constant errors to you, maybe it's a weekend, maybe the particular programmer you want to even contact is unreachable. As a DevOps person, you should be able to quickly sit down and say, hey, this is what I think might be wrong with this code, which is why one of the tools we're also going to be learning, basically, as a DevOps person, you are supposed to have a basic idea of at least one scripting language. So we're going to be going into Bash, shell scripting. So from the moment we're learning Git, we're learning GitHub, we're also going to be going into shell scripting. You will understand how basic code works for automation. You need to understand the fact that even your basic ATM works with a code. From the moment you press a single button, it is a script that must execute from beginning to the end. If it doesn't execute from the beginning to the end, it means there's an error within the execution. That is why in most cases it's easy for the bank to return your money, because when they query that particular operation, it is easy to tell that this script was not fully executed. I hope we understand that. So as a DevOps person, you need to understand such basic concepts to application and deployment of code, even in terms of writing code. You just need to have that understanding. You might not really need to be a full-time programming or development expert, a software development expert, but it is very essential, particularly where you need to do hot fixes. When you're on the spot, you might not be able to reach team members, so to say. You will find yourself in that situation. So you are going to learn basic coding using shell scripting. That is also within our curriculum. We're going to cover it. You understand? So basically, I think we covered most of the ground we are meant to cover. Like I said, also from learning Linux, from learning Maven, Jenkins, like as it is within this diagram expression I'm giving to you, it covers just about everything we're going to learn. We're also going to be learning how to use package managers. We're going to use specific package managers. The curriculum, the outline will be sent to us also. Like we can't dive so deep into it, but it's going to be sent to us such that it will help our decisions also, and we know what to expect as we progress with the course. You understand? So one thing we're going to be providing, like I mentioned, is a community for you to belong with. Actually, tried to emphasize on that earlier. We're going to provide for you a community. It's a lifetime community. You know, I like the working model of a couple of guys I've run into, such that from the moment you are trained and you are deployed into the market, even when you are faced with real life scenarios or difficulties within the workspace, you know that you have a community you can always run back to. That's one of the things we're going to be providing for you also, you know. And I assure you, we have, like I mentioned earlier, apart from the fact that I've had the privilege of mentoring a couple of persons, I also have a good network of professionals within my space also, that based on your level of proficiency, we can also introduce you to some of these spaces, working spaces, as a DevOps person to make your journey more interesting. But like I said, it is not a destination, it is a journey. Most of the tools we're going to be learning are just one or two out of maybe 5 tools that do the same thing within the market. So some employers, based on preferences, maybe based on the expert they've had working with them before, are going to demand if you have proficiency on some tools that are outside the scope of what you're going to be learning. Yes, that is the truth. That shouldn't discourage you. Focus on mastering the ones that we're going to be exposing you to start with. But trust me, every tool we're going to teach you is essential within the entire software development lifecycle, from the point of planning to planning again, planning to monitoring and back into planning. There's no tool that you will require as a DevOps engineer that is not within the outline we're giving you right now. The only difference is that based on preference, based on organization, and based on individuals, there are preference for specific tools. Just like I tell you, we're using GitHub. Some organizations, some individuals will tell you, no, for them it must be GitLab. We're using Terraform. Some people will tell you, no, what, they only know how to use Terraform. We're using Ansible. Some people that will tell you, no, it's only Chef or Puppet they know how to use that. They would rather you learn Puppet. But I am while you're still trying to grapple or master your proficiencies in Ansible, you don't want to go and start wasting your time trying to learn Puppet again. You rather want to stay within what you know. And much of what we're going to be using is Maven for deploying Java-based projects. Trust me, there are 1,000,001 demands for proficiencies in DevOps that can deploy Java-based projects. That is what we're going to be teaching you. You understand? You will meet organizations, you run into platforms that they tell you, no, they want to see how you can use what do you call what's this popular WordPress, how you can use a lot of them will come up. But one advice we're going to give you is this: stay and master what you are being given here. You're going to come out as a full-blown DevOps engineer by God's grace, based on our commitment to this. And I assure you, every benefit as it has been enumerated, the visibility, helping you to build your online presence, LinkedIn profile, your resumes, and all that. We're going to go into it. Within a boot camp period, you can't go wrong. So quickly, I might want to stop there. Let me not start to burden. Yes, as DevOps, you will have to burden yourself or bore yourself with the technical details. But let me not quickly start bothering you or boring you out with the technical details now. So I'm going to quickly try and round up here. I'm going to quickly try and round up here. So if we have any questions, if we have any questions, please, whether it has to do with my own part of the presentation or what Akin had talked about earlier, please, maybe admin can unmute us now such that the questions can start coming in. Thank you very much. My name again is Michael Aitano, and I will be your facilitator for the duration of this course. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Really appreciate it. Please, if you have any question, can we raise our hand and I will call anybody with their hands up, or if you know you can raise your hands up, you can send the chat in the you can send the chat and I will read the chat out as well. Do you want to stop sharing, Michael? Let me share my screen quickly. 1 second. All right,
Okay,
thanks. Thanks. Let me quickly share my screen for those that need the details to enroll, and I shall look at the. So we are looking for this course to start on the 1 sec, on the 29th of this month. That will be on a Tuesday, 28th or 29th of this month. So it's going to be twice a week, and the course will run Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that will be a minimum of 4 months journey. So yes, if you want to enroll, that is the number on your screen to enroll. And as I said earlier on, you can't get this bargain anywhere else. I can bet it with you. With the quality of what you are going to get, I tell you, you should even see from Michael's presentation. He hasn't got a slide, right? But what he told you was directly from his head. Compared to people that shows you slide, prepare beforehand and show. That's just to show you the extent of the knowledge and how impactful, as in the journey will be if you enroll. If this is a taster, just imagine what a 4 months journey would be. And also, it's not only about the 4 months journey, it's about the community that you'll be you'll be part of. Because the one of the most important in the journey is support. If you are not getting the support, honestly, I tell you, it's you can easily quit, because everything will be just too overwhelming. Nobody to go to and all of that. Nobody to rub minds with. So this is just not a training. We are trying to build a community, a lasting community, something that you can fall back to, whether you get a job tomorrow, a community you can fall back to. And that is what we are trying to provide here. So it's beyond what we are charging. It's beyond the money, the quality, the investment that you are going to get out of it. It's beyond words. Let me start taking questions, as I can see people are raising their hands already. So I'll start with Abdul. If I don't pronounce your name properly, Job, please pardon me. I'll start with Fuseni Abdul. Can you unmute and ask your question, please? Hello, Abdul. I can see you've unmute, but you are not talking. Well, if you are talking, we cannot hear you.
My question is, I joined in and get a recorded version of much about what you have.
You said
you hear me?
I can hear you now, yes.
Okay, I mean, I joined in late, and I want to ask if we can get a recorded version of this meeting, because I don't know topics you have touched. I don't really. I didn't have. So
okay. On the group, on the group chat, on this Zoom chat, you'll see a WhatsApp link. Join the WhatsApp link, and the recorded version of this session will be posted on the WhatsApp link.
Okay, I've joined the group already. I'm in the group. Yes.
All right. So if anybody wants the recording of this session, please kindly join the WhatsApp group on the chat. That is where the recorded version of today's session will be posted. So thanks. I'm going to call on Evan. Evan, can you unmute and talk, please? Hello, Evan, are you there?
Mm.
All right, let's go to fresh. Okay.
Evan Pinkle.
Yeah, Evan Pincus. Yeah, you raised your hand. Is it two Evans that are here? Yeah, Evan
Okay, good
Pincus,
evening,
yes.
everyone.
Yeah, good
My
evening.
question is, you did mention that it's for Tuesdays and Thursdays. For Tuesdays, you didn't say the time you were meant to log in and how what the duration that you spend on Thursdays. Then also,
Sorry.
mm,
Before you go any further, can you start all over again because I can hardly hear your question?
okay, my question is, you mentioned that it would happen Tuesdays and Thursdays,
Yes.
but there's no time and there's
8
no
p.
duration.
It's 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. UK time, and that will be
So
for 4 months, minimum of
that
4
would be
months.
okay. Is it that we're going to have like virtual classes that
Yet
are
it's a live.
pre-recorded? This one
Yet
is live. Would
it's
there
a
be also virtual classes that are pre-recorded or something?
All right, so it's going to be a live classes Tuesdays and Thursdays, but every of the classes will be recorded. So just in case that anybody misses the class, you can still watch the recorded version, but it's going to be a live sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
How many projects are we looking at?
Michael will be the best bet. Michael, can you answer that, please?
You said how many subjects?
I said projects, hands-on projects are we looking at?
We're going to be looking at a minimum of 10 projects. Along the line, you're still going to be doing different labs. For every example or illustration we use in class, you are also going to be required to do a submission of your own. So between case scenarios and live projects that we're going to be required to do on each module, we're looking at probably a minimum of 60 to 70 hours. That is what we're going to do. But basically we're looking at a minimum of 10, 15, 20 projects.
Okay, for the AWS,
the time frame we have, 4 months to cover the entire subject matter on its own is quite limited. So one of the things we're going to be relying on is the community that we're going to engage you with and the support platform also. So we're going to cover a lot, but trust me, you are going to be doing the project. We're not going to joke with the project. You are going to do and submit the project because it is the only thing that will help your conversation. Because you're going to be able to say that, yes, I have deployed using this. I have deployed using that. You must be able to say it. You must be able to have that conversation. So we're not going to be playing with the project at all.
Okay. Then again, does this include the AWS? Does it cover registration? Hello, does it cover registration for the AWS certification exams?
Hello, probably I should take that. The registration for the certification is not included because we don't focus on certification, right? We focus on hands-on experience. We focus on practical training. We focus on project.
I get that.
Yeah, but if you want to do
I just want to know if there is any plan for that.
If there's any class for that.
If there's any plan or any sort of support to take the AWS certification for those that are interested.
I believe with the certification, the knowledge that you are going to get out of this experience, coupled with your own personal reading, should help you, support you to ace the exam. Because when it comes to only certification, it's only the theoretical that you're exposed to, right? But now knowing the knowledge, now having the practical knowledge, how everything works in real life, will actually help you with your own personal study to pass any certification.
I get it, but do you people support in this regard, like help in the registration of the
No, we
exams and
don't.
preparation for it?
No,
Okay.
we don't. We don't.
Then also, is there any sort of something like placement? Can you hear me now? I guess.
It's breaking, but we can manage. Go on.
Okay. Also, is there any kind of placement plan, like job opportunities that, because some organizations say that they are in partnership with some people, with some organizations who they contact with projects and can refer their students when these opportunities come. Is there any sort of opportunity like that? Do you do placement?
I'll say yes and I'll say no, right? It all depends on what we have on ground. So at the moment, we don't have any client that requires DevOps. But that being said, we might have tomorrow. But the way we prepare you, it's not to rely on us. Because if everything I covered in my slide is followed, you don't even need us because you'll be bombarded with calls. It is a process that has been tested over and over again. Remember, this is not the only course we do. It's been tested on project management. It's been tested on business analysis. It's been tested on software automation engineer. If you are visible in the market, you don't need to depend on Learn with Pride to place you. No, because you'll be overwhelmed with calls. And at the end of the day, you secure the role that you want. So we don't want to promise what we cannot deliver. You know, if I promise you now I will place you, I might not be able to place you at the end of the day. So instead of relying on me,
placement is also subject to the person's what will I say? I can't get the word, but placement is also subject to the person's skill. Because I know some people who say our top students, when they don't give guarantees, but they say that when such opportunities come, we'll refer our top students. Then,
which we do as well, yes.
Okay. Then because I see that in the introduction of this, there was something you mentioned in passing, like the sponsorship route to the UK.
Yes.
But more emphasis was laid on remote jobs. So now on the sponsorship route, it's also the student's responsibility to go online, maybe throw your CV there in Indeed or something.
That's
and be
correct.
able to search for sponsorship. That's correct, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time. I've indeed enjoyed this session. I've attended a lot of sessions with some of these people in my search, but yours has been quite. You focused more on what the course is about than more what I'm going to get outside the course or testimony. So thank you for that. I appreciate.
You're welcome, Evan.
And I appreciate the quality of work that you've done. It's not Evan. My name is Pinkus.
Oh, Pinkus. Oh, all right. Sorry.
Pinkus. Evangelist Pinkus.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. So I thought that's what I said. I thought that's sorry. I didn't know that's a short form.
It's okay. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks. Fresh Prince, please go for it.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Akin and Mr. Michael. The session has been very insightful for me, and I really enjoyed the session. First of all, I have 2 questions actually. My first question is, throughout the session, you never made mention of the cost implication. That is one. Then when I went through Mr. Michael's presentation, I noticed that right from planning to monitoring, the phases of DevOps, I never see any component that has to do with the security aspect. So my question is, what's the difference between DevOps and DevSecOps? Is that something that is going to be touched on during the course? Thank you. That's my question.
All right. As regards the cost is on the screen right now. I don't know whether you can see it. And that's the cost on your screen. And there's 20% applicable till Wednesday.
So
As
is this in pounds or in naira?
Oh, this is in pounds. So if it's in naira, I'll put that on the chat quickly. While I'm doing that, Michael, do you want to take the second question?
Hello?
Yes. Do you want to go for the second question?
Yeah, I want to believe you're the one that was trying to find out what's the difference between DevOps and DevSecOps, right?
Correct.
Okay, good, fantastic. DevSecOps is just like we mentioned that, what do you call it? DevOps itself is an evolution of Agile, right?
Okay.
DevSecOps became necessary at some point where issues of security and threats became more rampant. You understand?
Yeah.
Like a few years ago, there was a massive. How many of us remember the Target story? What happened with Target, and what happened with even Amazon had an issue a few years back also. So DevSecOps now became a field or an offshoot of DevOps that allows you to build in security at the application deployment layer. That's at the point of deploying application, you now deploy additional tools. Which means if you're going to go into DevSecOps, it doesn't take away the fact that you are already a DevOps engineer. What it then implies is the fact that you are taking the extra mile to master additional tools that allows you to build security at the point of deployment. These tools are specialized applications also, third-party applications that you bring into your pipeline such that it provides an extra layer of security for your application, provided it's as far as its entire running life cycle is concerned. It is an offshoot of DevOps itself, but it is not DevOps in itself. It doesn't change the fact that you are still a DevOps. It only gives you an added advantage, particularly for companies that are particular about bringing you in with such competencies or proficiency. What we try to do also is, and which is what most recruiters or technical testers are also interested in, is okay, as far as providing security with your firewall within your AWS platform is concerned, how much understanding do you have? Which is one thing we're going to teach you. If you understand AWS very well, you understand how the concept of firewalls and security works. We don't joke with it. Then even within your Kubernetes clusters, using namespaces and resource allocation, we're also going to teach you another layer of security for your application. So now you don't necessarily have to be a DevSecOps expert to provide security for your application. If it is something you can make out time for, just like I said, I mentioned about focusing on what is important for now. But if it is something you think that, okay, given enough time, you want to dabble into it and provide that extra level of proficiency for yourself to make yourself more marketable, why not? But it doesn't erase or take away from the fact that you are still a DevOps engineer. You only become maybe more desirable, of which, yes, we know that a couple of organizations, a couple of, they can be particular about it. But also somebody that is in the space, just the same way when you, for those of us that are AWS practitioners, for instance, now, they will still tell you, hey, AWS security is a big deal. But we also know that within the solutions architecture framework, there is a lot of security that is factored into it already. People just have a way of being particular about extra layers of security going forward, which you can always learn, given time, given convenience. You understand? But it doesn't take away from the fact that you are still a DevOps engineer. It is derivable from it, but they are different. but the one is only a derivable from one. I hope I'm able to explain that.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Michael. I have a bit of a security background. From your presentation, it looks more like the change management process is totally removed and more power has been granted to more access. Let me say more access has been granted to developers, sort of. I don't know. I may be wrong, but it will be an insightful training. I'm looking forward to this. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome, sir. Somebody also asked what's the difference between the DevOps and the Scrum Master.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not going to be teaching you how to be Scrum Master here, but we would like you to understand, like I tried to enumerate earlier, is that as a DevOps engineer, more than 90% of the time you're going to be working with Scrum team. You have the advantage if you know Scrum very well to even be the Scrum Master on your team, even if you're a DevOps engineer. Scrum teams I've worked on have up to about three DevOps engineers. So conveniently, you can champion the entire Scrum process. The beauty of a Scrum Master is such that the Scrum Master advises or champions the organization's ability to implement Scrum on any given project. And we know what Scrum is all about. Quick, fast iteration to software development, giving standard practices. I try to enumerate some of these standard practices, understanding what product backlogs are as described by the product owner coming from the client company, and understanding how to guide the team on which items within the product backlog to bring into the sprint backlog. The sprint backlog is what the Scrum team is going to run with for the next 2 weeks of that sprint. Every sprint is a minimum of 2 weeks. And within the 2 weeks, before there is a sprint review and the sprint, the product increment is delivered and all the works within the sprint are certified as done, there are what we also call daily Scrum. The Scrum manager, the Scrum master is the one that manages those daily Scrum, along with the developers, the testing managers, the quality assurance guys on the team. The only person that is not necessarily around for those daily Scrum is the product owner, who is coming from the client end. But as far as managing the team through the entire sprint, through the entire daily Scrum is concerned, and also advising the company on best practices for Scrum and how Scrum should be implemented within the entire product software development lifecycle is concerned, that is the work of the Scrum Master. As a DevOps, you are only a part of the development team responsible for making sure that DevOps is also implemented within all the sprints, leading to all the product implement and leading to the entire exhaustion of the product backlog and your deployment. So your roles are different, but as far as Scrum is concerned, within the entire product development lifecycle it is the Scrum Master that owns the entire process. But the Scrum is not complete itself if DevOps is not brought into play. So as a DevOps, you also own your part within that entire Scrum framework itself by implementing DevOps for that team. The same way programmers are also deploying their own aspects in terms of features and all that on a daily incremental basis. So you need to understand that your roles are quite different. The Scrum Master is paid to carry out his own role. You are also paid to carry out your own role. It doesn't change the fact that even on most teams like that, you have some organizations, they still prefer to pay even the DevOps higher than the Scrum manager. While some actually based on preference and all that, some Scrum earn just at par with the DevOps. But your roles are uniquely different. But everyone is required on the team for a successful delivery and deployment for every product as stated within the product backlog itself. You understand? And the client doesn't want to know. The product owner doesn't want to know. The product owner only shows up at the end of 2 weeks for the sprint review. You understand? And the only person that the product owner looks at during those sprint reviews is the Scrum Master. So it is now left for the Scrum Master to now know how he manages the entire development team to achieve also the results that he wants. I don't know if you understand that what I just tried to say clearly.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, you're welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you for that. Actually, this is what I can even do as a bonus for those that want to come on this journey. And if you are interested in Scrum, as I said earlier on, I run a Scrum course as well. I can give you free access to the Scrum materials that my Scrum students are using. That I can give you for free. So that will come as a bonus for those who enroll and want to learn Scrum as well. Belikis, can you unmute and talk, please?
Hey. Hi.
Hello.
Okay, thank you very much. Please, I just want to ask that in the Thursday classes, you said it's going to run from 8 o'clock till 10 o'clock, right?
Yes, UK time.
But unfortunately, I work only Wednesdays and Thursdays nights. So I don't know if the time on Thursday can be rescheduled. And if that cannot be rescheduled, I just want to ask that should in case I'm going through the recorded session and I have any question to ask, will I be able to contact someone that will answer me as quick as possible?
Yes, because you'll be in a group, right? So you won't be alone. So any questions can be directed to the group chat, or you have access to your facilitator as well to ask questions.
Okay.
So even if you are watching the recorded session back, yes, you can still ask your question if you missed the class.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Jude.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Hope you can hear me very clear.
Yes.
I actually have a concern.
Let's hear your concern.
Yes, it has to do with the application for some of us outside of UK, maybe in Nigeria, getting this certification or getting this skill to get a job. How easy is it? The reason why I'm asking is that I went through a training for data science for almost 1 year. Then by 2020, I finished the job. I was able to go through the process of CV, interview, review, and everything. And up till now, when you come to my LinkedIn, you see more than 120 recruiters coming. And once they discover you are not in UK, they leave you. They say they're not open for sponsor. So my question is this: going through this training, getting the required skill, and you are in a country like Nigeria, what is the guarantee that you can be able to use it effectively? Because most of the, for instance, from the data science, most of the job you apply for Nigeria is not even what you studied. Something very, very superficial, and even at that, you can't get it. So that is my concern. And I want to be clarified on it so that I don't go back again and do the same cycle, after which I start afresh again. Thank you.
All right, Jude, thanks for the question. To start with, in my presentation, I made mention of shortage of skilled worker. But let's even now forget about shortage of skilled worker, all right? let's concentrate on what is happening in the market at the moment. The fact is, majority, I would say 70% of my students are from Nigeria, while the 30% are scattered all over the world, right? And the reason why I'm having high population coming from Nigeria is because they are getting jobs, right? Because it is not possible for the next person, probably once someone has done the training and is finding it difficult to get a job, doesn't mean everybody's story is different. But the only way you can know is it's like a lottery. They will say you have to be in it to win it, right? This is not a case of an assumption. It's a case of, you will never know what will happen until you are skilled, until you acquire the necessary knowledge, right? And what happens since post-COVID is it has opened the eyes of these employers to know that, number one, you don't need to be physically present in the office to get the job done. Number two, they are looking for a cheap labor, and that is why they are going outside their own location to look for people. I work for a company that they don't have any staff in the UK. They have staff in Malaysia and India. Why? Because they think they are shortchanging them. But despite the fact that they think they are shortchanging them, to the people, to the employees, they are still getting really well paid compared to what the local companies will offer them. So companies since post-COVID, they are really spreading their wings and recruiting people because you can work remotely, and they want to get the service like 2 for 1. What they're supposed to pay for one employee in the UK, they can get 2 employees outside the UK to do the same job. And that is what most of them are doing now. Right. So it is all about, acquiring the skill and putting yourself out there. A typical example again would be someone, I know you say you are not in the UK. There's one of my students that is in the UK. She did business analyst. She got a job, I think like 2 weeks ago, right? But when she applied for this role, right, they boldly put there, they are not giving sponsorship, right? When she applied. Because she's just finished her study and the visa she has is like a post-study visa, which will expire in 2024. So after she's gone, she did the first interview, second interview. They liked her. They offered her the role, and they now request, oh, what about your visa? And our visa expires in 2024. These are the people that said they won't give any sponsorship. They came back to her and said, you know what? We have 2 offers for you. The first one, we can employ you till 2024 and we'll terminate your contract. Or secondly, we can apply for a sponsorship visa for you, just that your resumption date will be delayed till February. And my point is, this is the company that said at first that, they boldly they wrote it there, we are not giving any sponsorship. But if she hasn't equipped herself with the necessary knowledge, experience, and know-how, she will never be in the situation whereby a company will be offering her a sponsorship job. That could apply to anybody. So as I said earlier on, you have to be in it to win it. It's not something that we are outside the door and we are trying to see what is happening inside the house, but what I can tell you is the jobs are out there, and recruiters, the companies, are recruiting outside their own country now just because they think they can get it's going to cost them less to do that. I hope I've answered the question, Jude.
Yes. Secondly, I want to also inquire I don't know whether it is maybe I can be able to speak with you one-on-one with
Yeah, this
respect
is
to
uh
install
this
payments.
WhatsApp message. This WhatsApp number. You can copy it down and you can message me
Okay, I'm going to
afterwards.
save it. Okay, it's all right. I will talk with you there. Thanks.
Yeah. So yeah, copy this WhatsApp message and message me
It's
afterwards.
already saved. I've saved it to my system, my phone.
All right, no problem.
Thank you. Okay.
No problem. Any other question from anyone? Please, if you have any question, please kindly raise your hand and we shall be attending to the questions. So as I said, we are hoping to kickstart this journey on the 29th of this month. It's going to be a 2 days, it's going to run twice a week for 4 months. And the things that you get from the journey or from enrolling with us will be the practical experience, the project, the community, the CV review, the interview preparation, the mentorship, and the support. You know, those are the things that we offer, and it's been working for us for other. And we believe this will not be an exception as well. Dapo, you raised your hand.
Hi everyone. Good evening.
Hello, good evening, sir.
All right. So I have a few questions as regards what a DevOps engineer do. So I understand they build the cloud infrastructure that the old Scrum team used to work. But do they belong to Scrum team as well? And do they also do daily stand-up meetings after building the infrastructure? That's one. I also want to know if if a company always need more than one DevOps engineer, or if let's say I get employed in the company, if I would be the only DevOps engineer there. Because personally, I like not to be the only one, so that I would also be able to learn from other people's experience. Then, okay, I think you've answered. Certificate is not exactly important. Then, since you mentioned the cycle on how they work, do they also do like testing, or that's strictly the work of a tester, or do they do part of developer as well? Then another question is, since DevOps engineer is supposed to build a cloud infrastructure for a company, do they strictly work with startups or companies that already have the cloud infrastructure already? Then second to the last, why do they get paid more than software developers? Then the last question is, this particular training you said is mainly targeted on Java development, blah, blah, blah. So are you saying there's nothing related to C# here? That's all my question.
Yeah, Mike, over to you.
Yeah, the last part I didn't hear him, but let me attempt the one I got. Yes, as a DevOps, you are constantly going to be working in the Scrum team. You're constantly going to be working in the Scrum team, not as a Scrum Master. The team I've been privileged to work with presently. What we have is a minimum of 3 DevOps, 5 programmers, 1 testing guy, 1 quality assurance guy, and the Scrum Master. Normally, Scrum teams are not advisable to be beyond 10 people. It means for that project, you might have to split into another Scrum group again. You understand? But as a Scrum Master, as a DevOps, different from the Scrum Master, you are required to be on the Scrum team, because where developers are coding, where programmers are coding, you are supposed to be there responsible for making sure the code conveniently enters your pipeline. The code must integrate with your pipeline such that the build process is initiated. Yes, most of the time, the companies make sure testing is done separately, not within the DevOps framework or not within the pipeline. Code quality testing is done. For this course, for instance, we're going to be using SonarQube for code quality, code assurance. You understand? So where developers are writing code, for instance, they're supposed to also write unit test cases along with each line of code. For actual quality, most organizations make sure they bring in an independent tester to also be on the DevOps team. Then you ask the question, what I think I understood, if I understood very well. From the moment deployment is done, it means the product has been delivered, and every work on the product backlog is ticked as done. If you're on a Scrum team, you know you're going to be working with a Kanban board, for instance. Once every item on the backlog is ticked as done, it means you have delivered. But it doesn't take away the room for feedback. It means every other person. That is why most of the time Scrum teams are largely remote. I tell you, the team I work with, I'm more or less like one or two of the only guys in Nigeria. If I tell you I'm going to, if I most of the time I'm going to be referring to guys in Canada, you know the time zone is crazy. The time zone is crazy. You don't sleep. So having opportunity to work with guys in UK and all that, yes, you're excited, you know. In fact, there was a guy recently that just got me involved. I had to, in fact, he was the one that pushed me into Andela Network. That was one of the first opportunities I had to start liaising with guys that are within UK time zones and all that. He pushed me into Andela. And like I also mentioned, it would be nice if you understand coding very well, even if you don't write code, but understand how coding works, such that if you're looking at a line of code, you can say this is what is wrong with it, such that you are exposed to opportunities that a lot of platforms provide, like Turing, for instance. You can't subscribe to Turing if you don't understand code. In fact, once you even try to sign up, one of the first things you are confronted with is a line of code. So it's either you sort it out yourself or you go and look for somebody that knows code and beg them to help you find out what is wrong with the code. So as far as testing is concerned, most organizations bring in independent testers, but much of the time, there are also tools within the framework that you can use for testing, code quality and assurance. We are using SonarQube for such purpose, but for high-grade testing, there are tools like Selenium and JUnit. We're going to be overviewing those tools. We might not be going into details because as a DevOps, you are not a tester. There are people that are paid to actually, there are people that are paid to be software testing experts. You understand? As a DevOps, you don't necessarily need to. There are other aspects as a DevOps that there are roles that you can put in conveniently. So I wouldn't want us to get all that mixed up, but we will go into what testing is and what it's all about and the tools that are available there for you. I think those are the questions I am able to get. The last part when you were talking, I think I missed much of what you said. It was scrambled. Then
okay,
concerning
the last question was that
the team does not. The team also understands the fact that the entire process is a continuous loop. I made you understand that. That is why communication tool is not something you don't joke with. Every Scrum team knows it. Every DevOps person knows it. That's why for us, we're going to be discussing Jira for ticketing. Once there is an issue, Prometheus Grafana allows for email alerting. Even within your Jenkins, there's email alerting. If there's any problem with your build or any error within your test that does not allow your code to build, immediately you get an email alert. Even if the team is not on ground, alerts are made available. Most of your work is still going to be remote. Even if you are doing daily Scrum, even after you have deployed the product to market and all the items on the backlog have been termed as done and you have delivered, even the employer, even the client knows that you, to a large extent, part of the contract requires that you handle monitoring. You handle monitoring. Even if you train their own staff or their operation staff to handle monitoring, most of the ticketing will still come back to you. It is now left for you to know if it's a code you can rectify on yourself or escalate to the developers on your team, even if they are not physically on ground. That is why DevOps is proactive and the processes are scalable, and much of the time their work is also remote. You know, nothing is particularly cast on stone. That's why DevOps teams are self-sustaining. They are self-sustaining and much of the time proactive team. You just need to be open to challenges as they come and, you know, figure out your way around them. Nothing is particularly cast on stone. And yes, most organizations, they don't keep just one DevOps. Trust me, every organization has a lead DevOps. Much of the time is a mid-level DevOps, even entry-level DevOps. They try to keep them within a close knit such that there is a self-sustaining environment for every member of the DevOps team. So don't be scared. And the interesting part also is that you will, even when you are applying for jobs, you don't find yourself coming into startups. Much of the time, you find yourself coming into an environment that already have infrastructure set up. So sometimes what you might even find yourself doing is managing codes that have already been set up, pipelines that have already been set up. You just have to be careful enough to know what you're doing. Of course, they try to make sure they give you that necessary familiarization. They onboard you. You understand? You're going to be working with codes that have already been deployed. Yours is just to manage it. If there are updates, if they are required, you know, you are coming in. But trust me, more than 70–80% of the time, you're not going to be doing anything completely out of the box. You're not going to be doing anything completely out of the box. So though there's no need to really be scared. No, if it is a startup, the brief will tell you that it's a startup before you even.
Yeah, thanks, Dakpo. I hope that has answered your question.
I'm okay.
All right. Thanks. Edwin, you raised your hand.
Yeah, so I was just going to get a little more about, I think I was talking about C#. If I was not wrong, I think from what Mr. Mike had just spoken about, he is going to be dwelling more on Java-based applications and with the love of other programming language, because I think from what he said, he's trying to explain to us more like there are going to be organizations who would actually dwell on various kind of languages. Correct me if I'm wrong, if that's not what I got. But again, how easy is it for me to get into DevOps? I have no clue. I have no idea about programming and all of these things. How easy is it for me to get into DevOps? Thank you.
Okay, we talked about it earlier. Even as a novice, I've had encounters with people that practically zero tech experience, zero tech background. The only thing I saw was just that commitment. The way we're going to be structuring the courses, even from Linux, the moment you are able to log into your computer, the moment you are able to open a Windows, the moment you are even able to open an email account, if you're able to open an email account, you should be able to set up an AWS account. You know, just like trying to make an online purchase or something, enter your credit card details. You understand? But no matter how daunting any of those processes are, such that we don't have any individuals that are drawing us back, we're also going to provide a support desk where outside the regular classes, we have a community where you can always go to ask this question. Hey, I'm having problems logging this. I'm having problems opening this. Somebody will always be there to attend to you. But note, what is most important is your commitment to each session, following up the videos. Each video is going to, as much as possible, take into consideration that a lot of people within the class have zero, low to zero experience with computers. What we're just going to do is make sure we make every aspect as simple. Yes, it will get a bit more complicated as we go, especially when we start going into scripting languages, programming languages, which I mentioned, shell scripting. It is not particularly funny, but I assure you, if you can bring yourself to calm down, much of the time, some of these videos, you don't even need to get it at first glance or first instance. Take time to go over some of these materials over and over again. Trust me, by the time you're looking at it, like most of the advice I give people that are even trying to write a cloud practitioner exam and all these kind of exams, go over the materials at least twice. What you don't get the first time, you get the second time. If you're calm enough again to go over it a third time, trust me, it will come to you. It will come to you. The most important thing is you made that commitment. You assured yourself that this thing I can do it. Of course, everybody knows that, okay, particularly if you're transitioning, of course, at the back of your mind, you know it's not going to be a walk in the park. The same way trying to learn a new programming language, it's not going to be a walk in the park. But with steady commitment, devotion to your learning, watching your videos, following up on the help desk support you can get, I believe anybody can transition, and go through this journey smoothly. That would be my own 5 cents on the matter. So, Ross, I really want to encourage, if you can, the DevOps, I said, it's a journey, it's not a destination. I'll keep reiterating that, such that even for those of us, we are constantly exposed to situations where we have to learn one or two new things every other day. It is a constant journey. Just like somebody brought up the issue of DevSecOps. After fully being integrated into DevOps, I had to take a course in DevSecOps. You understand? It's never convenient, but at least, even if practically I'm not deploying DevSecOps, but when it comes to high-level language or conversations around it, yes, I do. Job scenarios that will warrant you deploying DevSecOps will come, and you find yourself, being exposed to it practically. But the most important thing is there needs to be the interest in the first place. If you want to transition into tech and you think DevOps is it for you, fantastic. You're welcome on board.
Thanks, Michael. Edwin, has that answered your question?
Yes, thank you very much, Mike.
You're welcome. There's a question for you, Michael, on the chat. The first one is, can the source be subdivided to build and release and also full DevOps? And number 2, regarding the AWS cloud platform, are we getting subscription for the course duration?
Okay, what we're going to do is this. We'll teach you how to subscribe on AWS and minimize your usage such that you will not incur unnecessary costs. But truth is, once you're subscribing to AWS, you have to bear it at the back of your mind that you're going to incur costs. What we will only do is make sure that most of the instances we're going to be setting up for your practicals, for your labs, are going to be free tier instances that you don't pay for, of which we will always also advise that the moment you are done with your lab, that you terminate those instances, don't let them run, especially where you have more than one instance. AWS allows you to leave one instance running for 1 whole month, and you will not incur any costs. But if you now add additional resources to that instance, or it is more than one instance, that means you are going to exceed the 750 hours that AWS allows you for free tier every month, and you're going to incur debt. So we're going to show you how to navigate the AWS environment without incurring too much cost. But the point is, whether you like it or not, through the duration of this course, please bear in mind you might incur some costs. Because even if we start at the minimal level, you are not incurring costs, you are not demanding for additional resources. There are some modules that we'll get to, you will have to demand for additional resources, maybe additional RAM, maybe additional processing. You will. But the costs are also very minimal, whether in dollars or euros or pounds, less than 0.2 cents or pence and all that. you know, but before they start accumulating more than that, you quickly terminate your instance once you are done with your practical, and you make sure you have no instance running on your account, you are safe. The problem will be that maybe you demand for an instance or a service after your practicals, or you think because you could not finish your practical, you now leave it running overnight. Or some people will leave it running for a week. You just wake up one morning and AWS will just send you a bill for like $100. You know, that's the problem a lot of people have with AWS. You understand? So we're going to, as much as possible, help you not to incur costs. But at the back of your mind, you still need to have it at the back of your mind that you might incur some costs through the entire duration of this project. It might not be more than $50, might not be even up to that, you know, which is another sacrifice you should be ready to make as far as that is concerned. Then the other question, what's it about again? I think please help me. What was the first one?
Hold on, I just scroll. Yeah, the first question is, can the source be subdivided to build and
like we said, the safest place to actually branch out if you don't want to complete the course is being a build and release engineer, like we talked about. But you know, you remember somebody also mentioned what are the viabilities, what are the marketability or the demand for some of these specific or limited skill sets. A lot of us know that configuration management, infrastructure as code, containerization, and orchestration is the key thing in the market today. So why would I advise you? I would know even if it's because of the cost. I really wouldn't want to advise you to stop at just being a build and release engineer. Yes, we know that there are people that get employed as build and release engineer, but that's like one out of many. You might not just be that lucky, especially when you are, you know, not particularly in, you know, imagine somebody in Nigeria, for instance. So one of the advantages a lot of us have is that our skill sets are quite broad. So my location to a large extent doesn't really limit me, because if you're talking and talking and talking here, I am able to engage you in the conversation. Even technically, I'm able to engage you. You understand? So, but being just a build and release engineer, even your skills as an AWS, a cloud practitioner, or you know, a solutions architect is limited. What a lot of recruiters and employers out there are looking for, it is, from my own practical experience, is more. Yes, you can divide it into two and stay at being a build and release engineer if Learn with Pride will allow you and cut the cost into two for you. That's more like halfway, but we don't recommend it. I personally would not recommend it. You don't want to go into the market half baked. No, that's like going into the market half baked. That's the only way I can put that. So no, it's not really advisable professionally and otherwise. No, that's my take on that.
All right. Thanks, Michael. I don't know whether anybody else has any final question. If you do, please, you can still raise your hand. I can still take one more or two questions. But again, as I said, this will be starting on the 29th of this month. And there is a 20% discount that is still available to mid next week. So if you want to come on the journey, you know, this is the time. We can't overemphasize the benefits that you are going to derive joining this ship. You know, it's beyond until you join the journey, until you embark on the journey, before you can know the benefit that is attached to what you'll be getting. So if you want to reach out to me, there's a number on your screen. There's a WhatsApp number on your screen. You can message me directly on that WhatsApp number. You can as well join, if you want the video for this session, you can as well join this the WhatsApp link on the chat. That is where I'll be posting the recorded version. And yes, that will be from any final question from anyone. If you have any question, please, any final question before we call it a day. All right, I don't think so. It's been a long session. Thank you everyone for your time. Michael, thank you so much. Oh, there's one question. Victor, what's the question?
Okay, yeah, good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
You know, we back here in Nigeria, we are based on certifications. Like, even though if you have the knowledge and you have nothing to present, it's kind of difficult for you to get like a job or something. And even the practical knowledge is there. So what I want to ask is, after the training or whatsoever, are we going to be presented like, okay, we did this course, we did DevOps with so association or something, to at least present before the knowledge wise, the practical knowledge wise that you're using to work?
All right. As far as Learn with Pride is concerned,
Sorry, before I cut you short. You know, this stuff we're learning is not only outside the country, it's still going to be used, or we are just learning it just because of people that needs it outside the country.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay. So as regards the certificate, the only certificate we give, and that is even on demand, is the certificate of completion. Things has changed. The reason why we don't really preach certificate is it's from my own personal experience. You know, I came from Nigeria as well before I relocated to this country. I understand it's all about certificate, but things has changed, you know, because certificate without experience is waste of money. Nobody will employ you. But I can tell you that the experience and knowledge without the certification can still get you a role. I have many certificates that, you know, I never used. When I was looking for transition, when I was trying to make my own transition as well, you know, I did so many certification exams, but does that get me the job? No. So it's not because it's not because I'm in the UK or you're in the Nigeria, or no. Things are changing, whereby it is how you approach or attack the interview that will make them doubt you that, oh, we need to see your certificate. If you can convince your interviewer that you know what you're talking about, that you've done it before, you know, even if they put so certificate is needed on the application, they might not even ask you. That depends on your exposure, you know. So that being said, I'm sure Michael can tell you one or two certification if you want to, that you can enroll and do, because by the time you finish the practicality, the project, whatever, you have more exposure. So you understand better when you're studying for all the certification exam, if you still want to go that route, you know, which will help you to pass the certification exam. And your second question, which at this time I've forgotten, can you remind me? Sorry. So, hello, you are not audible.
Hear me now.
A
Faint?
bit. Yeah, I can hear you.
What I said is, I believe we are not learning this DevOps just diaspora, like maybe working outside the country only. We are using it also for our local environment.
Yes, it is worldwide, it is universe, it is not country based, or you know, it is what is required everywhere. As long as the company is into software development, you know, the need for DevOps is needed as well. I don't know whether Michael wants to add to that.
Well, I can, the conversation is a bit scrambled. I can barely make out. I don't know if it's from my end. But much of, yes, some of I have tons of certificates. Like if I even tell you I'm a Scrum enthusiast, I'm a certified project management professional. I have IT, but the most important thing for me is from my encounter in the field, I have never even gotten a job where anybody has asked me to present a certificate. I tell Modi, in fact, sometimes I wonder why do I labor to get some of these things? Yes, because we are Nigerians, you know that mentality and all that. You can't really help it sometimes. You're always tempted to want to put that before anything. It is good you get it, but it shouldn't be the motivation. You know, it shouldn't come before acquiring the skill. That is what I would always say. You know, based on the question initially, because I didn't hear most of the latter part of the question. It was scrambled, but you know, based on what I got, as far as certificates are concerned, in fact, most of the major gigs or briefs I've gotten, it doesn't have anything to do with certificates. In fact, they are more concerned with how you ace your technical session. That is what, in fact, that is the key thing. They want to know how technically you can deliver. And once they can ascertain that you can deliver technically, your conversation is okay, your tests are okay, forget every other thing. The next thing you just hear is congratulations, you're welcome on board, thank you, you know, and that is it. You know, I'm talking from practical experience. That's what you get. You don't. I've never had the much of the time. In fact, I just wonder why it's getting the certification sometimes is like a waste of time. Yes, you do see some that give it the priority. They say, yeah, do you have this? Do you have this? No, but it shouldn't be a basis, or it shouldn't be a deterrent. No, from you putting yourself in that space where you first need to acquire the skills, you know, and become proficient with the tools. You know, that's my take on it when it comes to the issue of certificates.
Yeah, thanks. Victor, has that answered your question?
Yeah, it's fine.
All right. No problem. So thanks everyone once again for taking your time to attend this session. Hope to see you on board. Michael, thank you so much for your time as well. It's been
time.
So yeah, I'll post the video on the WhatsApp group. So, and if you want to have a private conversation with me as well, you can use the WhatsApp number on the screen to do that. So once again, thanks everyone for your time, and I wish you you enjoy the rest of your day as well, your weekend.
All right, guys.
Thanks.
Wonderful weekend.
You too. Thanks, and see you on the other side. Thanks.